Welcome, my name is Bjorn. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be looking at a Jester build, so to say. Recently I started playing Darkest Dungeon again, and I like that character, the Jester, where the whole idea of them is to reduce the stress of the party and to, deal some damage, of course. Obviously, I'm not going to get into that game, but I felt like I wanted to take that concept and move it into Dungeons and Dragons and how we can make a toolset that would probably best reduce the stress of other players within our group. Let's go ahead and just jump right on into it here. So as we can see here, this is what we end off with: the College of Valor Bard, level 6, a Life Domain Cleric, level 4, and a Circle of Dreams Druid, level 10. Now, because of this multi-class, we are going to require some minimum stats. For the Bard, it is going to require a Charisma of 13 minimum, and for the Druid, it will be requiring a Wisdom of 13, as well for the Cleric, a Wisdom of 13. For your stat priority, I'd recommend having your Charisma the highest and possibly your Wisdom. We're not so focused on damage here, but having a high dexterity will increase our AC, which in some term reduces stress to the party. If we get hit less, they have to worry about us less. So now, as for the race of choice, I've decided to go with the half elf here. We'll be gaining a +2 to our charisma, as well as 2 scores of a choice, in which I've chosen dexterity and wisdom, and we gain 2 skill choices. I've decided to go with deception and survival here. Now, for the background, I've decided to go with the sage specifically. This because in a way this will reduce a role-playing stress that some people out, like the actual players, may feel, because maybe they are new to the game or something like that. But with the Sage, we gain the Researcher feat here. Essentially, we're going to know where we can possibly research knowledge and be that lore expert within the group and guide the group to certain areas. Mainly of this, though, we also gain our Arcana and History and 2 languages of choice. Now, coming on over into the class, we start off with the Bard. We gain some proficiencies with this. Choose whatever instruments you'd like. I recommend for the skills, though, that you go with Medicine, Performance, and Persuasion. As well, we gain the Bardic Inspiration die. We will have a number of these equal though to our charisma modifier, so in our case it should be 5 or higher, and we are going to be able to get this up to a D8 once we hit 5th level bard, so it's a pretty decent amount of inspiration that we can give out. At 2nd level, we gain Jack of all trades, a very useful ability in which we will be able to possibly assist the group in some way. I will mention, allow your group to roleplay, allow them to shine and have their own, benefits and the benefits towards the group and help out. This character, I'm designing it around perhaps someone who's filling in for a new group, or perhaps somebody who is naturally takes to that side in real life that they want to help people out, and I feel like this lends it to you being able to do that. Coming down to 3rd level, we get to choose our Bardic College. This is where I went with the College of Valor. Why I went with this was for the Combat Inspiration. With this, we can make our Bardic Inspiration increase the AC of our group members, which means they'll get hit less. As well, at 3rd level, we get to expertise some of our skills of choice. I decided to go with Persuasion and Deception. I wanted to fill out that role within the group so that we can persuade and deceive our way through any fucking situation that we can. 4th level, this is where we get to choose an ASI. I decided that this character was going to be using a crossbow. I wanted to save my spells primarily for beneficial effects towards the group. That includes cantrips, so I'm not going to be taking any sort of cantrips that deal damage. And with the crossbow expert, we ignore that loading penalty. This is a pretty, if you plan on using crossbow, go with this. If you plan on going with a bow and arrow, go with maybe sharpshooter, or if you don't plan on doing combat at all, you can just ignore this and go with something else. 5th level, we gain our Font of Inspiration. This is very good. We can regain our Bardic dies on a short rest. And at 6th level, we gain our first and only extra attack through our Bard, because we have went with the Bardic College of Valor. And as well, we gain Counter Charm. Make sure you use this correctly. You have to use it before the charm starts to take effect. It's not hard once you get used to it. In which now we have finished with our College of Valor Bard, and we can either go into the Circle of Dreams Druid or the Life Domain Cleric. Either would be a valid choice. We'll just start with the Cleric here, for example. So with this character, when we choose our Life Domain, we gain a bonus proficiency with Heavy Armor. The main thing that we gain with this is the Disciple of Life, so whenever we cast a spell, then no matter what, that creature will regain an additional 2 plus the spell's level, so this is very powerful. I also went with Druid because there's a powerful combination between the Disciple of Life spell and one of the Druid spells. We'll get into that later. I will link to a video in the description below, explaining it far better than I will. 2nd level, we get Preserve Life. So with this, we're just able to get up many people. That's pretty much what we're saving it for. And at 4th level, we get to choose another feat. This is where I finally decided to go with the Elven Accuracy. You can decide to increase your Dexterity, Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma with this. I decided to go with Dexterity. In this case, it could be a good time to get that Charisma up a little bit. Elven Accuracy is an insane feat to have. And with that, that ends the Life Domain Cleric, and we can go ahead and jump into the Circle of Dreams Druid. So with the Circle of Dreams Druid, we do gain Druidic, pretty useful. The one thing I will mention with Druids, I will mention this with every single Druid multi-class I do, they don't wear they don't wear plate. They don't wear metal, they don't use metals. There's ways in which we can roleplay that out and work around it. Either the Circle of Dreams Druid, we could say through a class identity of sorts. We don't actually become a Druid. These are all just benefits granted to us through our Life Domain Cleric instead. That way we stick towards that ideal of being a Cleric and Bard. Meanwhile, we are still gaining from benefits of the Druid. That's one possible way I've worked out in the past with my own DM. And if your DM just refuses to allow you to wear plate and to have plate, and they're refusing to come up with any sort of solution or work with you, they're probably being a douche. Look at other things that they're doing. They're probably a douche in other ways. And if they're being a dick to you, leave that game. It's not worth it. Of course, work with them, but if they're being a dick, leave that game. Regardless, at 2nd level, we get to choose our Druidic Circle. This is where we go with the Circle of Dreams. I like the Circle of Dreams here. Ever since I've been doing some multi-classing for the Druid, I'm really liking a lot of their archetypes. We gain the Balm of the Summer Court. Essentially, this is just some healing that we're able to do for a character, and we can do it as a bonus action. So for a character that we see within 120 feet, we can spend a number of these dice equal out to half of our Druid level or less, and whatever we roll, we give it to them, and then they also gain temporary hit points equal out to how many dice we've rolled. 4th level, we gain some more Wild Shape Improvement, pretty useful. We're able to use things that have a climbing speed now, I believe. As well, we gain a new ASI. I decided to go with Warcaster here. It feels fitting. We don't want to lose concentration on anything, because if we lose that, it doesn't benefit the group anymore. At 6th level, we gain the Hearth of Moonlight and Shadow. So this is essentially a nice camping out ability that we can have. It really fits into that Darkest Dungeon feel, actually. I was surprised. It depends on when you've decided to multi-class into the Circle of Druid. So if you went from the Bard into the Druid, which is what I plan on doing personally, we would be gaining this at like 12th level, so it's still useful for us. If you decide to go this at 16th level, that could still be useful for us. I mean, this has some very good applications that the group no longer needs to necessarily worry about that. As well, we also gain a Tiny Hut, so we can put up the Tiny Hut. We can also put up the Hearth of Moonlight and Shadow. There's a double defensive layer there, so resting out in the wilds is like no stress whatsoever, really. And again, at 8th level, we gain that improved Wild Shape. This is where we can finally fly. And as well, we get a new feat. I decided to go with the Resilient Constitution, furthering our own health and furthering our concentration check, so very beneficial. And then at 10th level, and in this case 20th level, we gain the Hidden Paths ability. So as a bonus action, essentially we can teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space that we can see. Alternatively, we can also teleport a willing creature we can see up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space that we can see. We can use this feature a number of times equaled out to our Wisdom modifier, and we regain all uses of it on a long rest. So this can be very beneficial in getting people into places, getting yourself into a more advantageous position for not taking damage. There's also other spells that we have by this level that we can use that does the same thing. However, with this, we're not using those spell slots. This is only a bonus action. We can this could benefit, say, a rogue with sneaking in somewhere. We can just teleport them right behind somebody without needing to roll a stealth check, and that assassin immediately gets their assassinate off. Or, drop a barbarian in somewhere. That would be terrifying. Now, of course, I'll just quickly go over some spells here. The Bard, obviously, we have a whole bunch. As I was mentioning with that Tiny Hut, this works very well with that Druidic ability. And with Druid, there's the main spell I'd recommend taking is the Healing Spirit. This is the spell that I will link to below as to how broken this can be alongside with a Life Domain Cleric. Thank you, I think it was Dawnforge. I'm going to say that out of my ass right now and hope I was correct, but thank you, Dawnforge. So yeah, that's the character build. It's fairly simple, it's straightforward. You focus on abilities that can help benefit the group, things that you can utilize between the two classes. Again, with being able to heal like a crazy amount and being able to reduce people's stress, giving them better AC. Yeah, a lot of bardic things that we can do. I felt like it could be a very fun class to play. This is still a very valid and very useful role to be had, especially in be that the light and the darkness kind of idea, and have the sense of humor of the group. I mean, like, not like everyone is going to be playing dark and brooding characters, but you know, I'm sure there's going to be at least one or two. So yeah, I hope that this maybe helped you with finding a support utility build that you were looking for, maybe inspired you to create a backstory, a character around this build, or something akin to it. I hope you can find use in it, and thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, please consider liking it, subscribing, leaving a comment, let me know how you felt about it. But regardless, thank you again, and have a lovely day as always. Bye-bye.